The last time I saw her smile at me, truly smile, was 3 weeks before my birthday. It was a quiet moment. She stood barefoot in the kitchen, the morning sun pooling at her feet, a cup of coffee in one hand and the other resting absent-mindedly on the counter. Her robe slipped slightly off her shoulder, and I remember thinking how lucky I was to wake up beside her every day. "Happy early birthday," she had whispered that morning, placing a kiss on my cheek and sliding a small note into my palm. A dinner reservation. Just us. My heart swelled, not because of the gift, but because of her effort. I didn't need grand gestures. I just needed her. Her name was Olivia, and for 16 years, she had been my entire world. We had built a life together, a house that echoed with laughter, 2 children who adored her, a rhythm to our days that felt steady and safe. I never raised my voice, never lifted a hand. I was never perfect, but I was always gentle, loving, steady, and I thought that was enough. My birthday fell on a Saturday that year. We had planned a gathering, small, intimate. My closest friends from college, some colleagues from work, a few of Olivia's friends, and both our families. The house buzzed with warmth and anticipation. Our backyard glowed under a string of soft lights. The kids had hung handmade signs that said, "Happy birthday, Dad!" And then the air shifted. Olivia stood at the center of the gathering, a flute of champagne in her hand, her posture straight, her face unreadable. "I have something to say," she announced, her voice cool and clear. Conversations hushed. Everyone turned toward her, smiles fading in confusion. She looked at me, dead in the eyes. "Ethan has been lying to all of you." A coldness crawled up my spine. "He drinks when no one's watching. He screams at me, at the kids. He cheats. He's not who you think he is. I can't do this anymore." And then she pulled out the papers. Divorce. Already signed on her end. Right there. In front of everyone I loved. I don't remember breathing. I don't remember blinking. I just remember the silence, and the weight of it crushing my chest. I took the pen. I signed. Not because I agreed, but because something in me snapped. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of a scene. I walked back into the house as the guests whispered behind me. I locked the bathroom door, and I cried like a man watching the only world he ever loved collapse into ash. The days that followed felt like an endless fog. She was gone by the next morning. Took the kids. Moved into her sister's place across town. By Monday, her attorney had already filed the paperwork in court. I received a formal email. Olivia Jacobs versus Ethan Jacobs. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Included in the attachments were sworn affidavits, false ones, claiming emotional abuse, alcoholism, and infidelity. Photos of empty wine bottles I hadn't touched. Screenshots of vague text messages, twisted out of context. A single email thread with a female client now labeled inappropriate. It was a massacre. Of my name. Of my reputation. Of everything I quietly worked to build for nearly 2 decades. She took the house. The car. Full custody of the kids, at least temporarily. Pending investigation. And I slept on a friend's pull-out couch with 2 changes of clothes and a duffel bag and a frozen expression on my face. I didn't speak. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. But inside, something was burning. Not anger. Not yet. But an ache. A question that wouldn't stop echoing. Why? Then, 2 weeks later, the answer came. Her best friend, Natalie, texted me out of nowhere. We hadn't spoken in years beyond holiday hellos and polite dinner small talk. But her message was simple. "Ethan, I need to talk to you. Not as Olivia's friend. As someone who knows the truth." I agreed to meet her at a park on the quiet side of town. She arrived wearing sunglasses, her expression cautious. As if she, too, was afraid of being seen. "Ethan," she said, "I've kept my mouth shut for too long. But after what she did to you, I can't anymore. And then, like a dam breaking, the truth came out. Olivia had been cheating for years. Not with one man, but two. A coworker from her gallery. A personal trainer from the gym. She bragged to Natalie about keeping them separate. Called it managing assets. She told me it was about leverage. Natalie said, eyes filled with disgust. She wanted out, but she didn't want to lose the house. Or the lifestyle. She wanted to ruin you first, make sure you wouldn't fight back. My mouth was dry. She rehearsed that birthday speech in front of me, word for word. She knew it would destroy you. She said if you were too stunned to respond, it would look like guilt. The pain in my chest sharpened into something colder. And the affidavits? She paid people to write them, Natalie said. Some weren't even real acquaintances. She faked names. One guy was an Uber driver. She used a photo from Facebook and made him into a friend of the family. It's all bullshit, Ethan. I sat in silence. The lies. The destruction. The way she wore my kindness like a costume and then blamed me for everything. She always said you were too soft, Natalie added quietly. Too trusting. That you'd never fight back. That's why she thought she could win. I finally looked up at her. She was wrong. Natalie leaned forward. Good. Because I want to help you. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark with my laptop open, Natalie's voice replaying in my head. She thinks you won't fight back. But I would. Not with rage. Not with threats. I would fight like I built my life, patiently, methodically. And this time, I'd build something new. Starting with her collapse. Natalie became my shadow, while Olivia paraded through brunches with new friends and Instagrammed her. Liberation. We gathered every thread of her deception with surgical precision. No confrontation. No drama. Just data. Natalie gave me access to everything. Texts Olivia had sent, voice notes she drunkenly bragged into, even screenshots of her strategy, group chats with other women. I cataloged them, date-stamped them, cross-referenced them against public records and my bank statements. The lies were breathtaking. She'd withdrawn $40,000 from our joint savings account over 6 months, disguising the transfers as charity donations and business expenses. She'd fabricated receipts, laundered payments through her friend's boutique. Meanwhile, she was building a case to paint me as unstable, all while living lavishly off my earnings. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst was realizing how effortlessly she had rewritten me. The man who never once raised his voice, who packed her lunch for 10 years, who bought her flowers every Friday, into a villain. And everyone believed her. Everyone except Natalie, and eventually the court. Because Natalie had one last gift. A recording. She'd captured it weeks before the divorce. Olivia had been drunk, ranting into her wine glass at a dinner party. It's not about love. It's about winning. He's too good. Too nice. I want him to feel what it's like to lose. I want to watch him crack. The recording was damning. Malicious intent. Premeditation. My lawyer, a quiet, sharp man named Ellis, listened in silence. When it ended, he exhaled slowly. We're not just getting your kids back, he said. We're getting everything. We filed a countersuit. False claims. Character defamation. Fraud. Financial manipulation. The news hit Olivia like a thunderclap. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Colleagues began to whisper. Her curated image, the woman who escaped a toxic man, started to crack. I wasn't silent anymore. I was present. Strategic. And I didn't flinch when she showed up to mediation, all crocodile tears and faux innocence. I just want what's fair, she said. I slid a folder across the table. Inside, itemized transfers. Screenshots. The recording. Olivia's face paled. Ellis leaned forward. What's fair? He said softly, is restitution. Her parents, once her fiercest defenders, now stared at her with wide, horrified eyes. You lied to us, her mother whispered. You lied to everyone. I did it for us, Olivia snapped, voice rising. He was just there. He was never enough. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The weight of the evidence, the betrayal, the truth, it all spoke louder than anything I could have said. In the end, the judge awarded me full custody of our children, the house, the car, restitution for the stolen funds. Olivia? She walked out with her clothes, her name, and the echo of everything she gave away. Natalie stayed beside me through it all, not out of pity, not out of guilt, but something else. Something quiet, steady. We never rushed anything. But one evening, after the final court date, she stopped me on the porch as I was unlocking the front door. You know, she said, you're not just good, you're strong. I turned to her, and for the first time in what felt like years, I believed it. We stood there for a long while, the night air crisp and calm, like the storm had finally passed. But it wasn't an ending. It was just the beginning. 2 years later, the house felt different now. Not because it had changed, but because I had. The silence that once echoed with betrayal now hummed with peace. The hallway where Olivia once stormed through in stilettos now heard little feet thudding in laughter. My children, our children, thrived. Leo had stopped flinching when I walked into a room. He smiled now, told jokes. Maya, once withdrawn, hugged me longer, trusted me again. I never badmouthed their mother. I didn't need to. The truth had already spoken. I simply showed up, every day, with patience, love, and presence. That's what healed them. Natalie and I took it slow. No grand declarations. No rushing to fill the void Olivia left behind. We built something honest, quiet, real. She moved in after a year. Not because we needed each other, but because we chose each other. She never tried to become their mother. She became their ally, their mentor, their soft place to fall. On our 3rd anniversary, I asked her to marry me. Not with a diamond ring or a big speech, just a simple question while we sat on the back porch, watching the kids chase fireflies. She smiled, leaned her head on my shoulder, and whispered, Yes! We married in the spring. Small ceremony. Close friends. My parents. Her brother. Leo stood beside me as my best man. Maya read a poem she'd written for us. Olivia wasn't invited. And when word eventually reached her, through mutual friends, I imagine, that I'd rebuilt everything she tried to burn. That I was happy, fulfilled, and loved in a way she never understood. That the man she tried to destroy had found peace, success, and a new life she could never touch. She sent a message. A single text, late one evening, while I was tucking Finn, my son with Natalie, into bed. I made a mistake. I see that now. If you ever want to talk. I didn't respond. Not out of anger, but because there was nothing left to say. Some bridges don't need to be burned. Some just fall apart from neglect. And once the dust settles, you realize you never needed to cross them again. That's the story. Not of revenge, but of quiet dignity. Of a man who lost everything and chose not to scream, not to fight dirty, but to rebuild in silence. Stronger, kinder, and finally free.